What's going on, everyone? I'm just a typical, average American here today to react and learn about British school uniforms. If I understand correctly, apparently, in Britain, everyone's gotta wear a school uniform. This is news to me. This is brand new news, breaking news. This is not at all how it is like in the United States. And when things aren't like the United States, it kind of scares me. It really makes me wonder what's real and what's not. No, I can grasp the idea of a school uniform. As a matter of fact, it's not completely unheard of in America to have a school uniform, but it is pretty rare. And there's these things called private schools where you have to pay extra money if you're a parent to send your kid to a private school, an elementary school, or a secondary school, or a middle school, high school. And you pay, and sometimes it's like a Catholic school where there's a little religion involved, or sometimes it's just private. And in those institutions, you might have a uniform or a dress code. But by and far in America, a uniform at school is considered crazy, scary. We want freedom. Freedom! As at least that's how most Americans would probably see it, as some kind of impingement on their personal expression if they couldn't wear their favorite band's hoodie or whatever t-shirt they want, or whatever they want to wear to the school. If it's within reason, kids are pretty much allowed. They have a dress code. You can't dress certain ways, but you can pretty much dress for the most part within reason how you want, and it's a form of self-expression. So that's very different from what I can tell. And maybe I'm right on some of these things, maybe I'm wrong, but either way, let's take a deeper dive. School uniforms, British versus American, very interesting to me.
Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. Today we are talking about quite an interesting topic. It's a hot topic, you could say. Except you can't shop there if you're wearing a uniform. School uniforms.
School uniforms. I'm in
Pros,
my school uniform.
Cons, and I'm in my... I don't wear a school uniform. I'm a rebel.
Well, honestly, he's wearing his school uniform, in a sense. He's wearing just a normal piece of clothing that you'd wear. So this is already an example of a British school uniform. See, this is probably so boring to look at for British people, but this is news to me. It's quite formal, isn't it? With the jacket and tie, a nice shirt. I have to admit, it looks very nice. I can't deny that.
Right. Now, mostly I think in America there's not many schools that do school uniforms, where in the UK, do you know any that don't?
The only time I've ever had no uniform in school is in sixth form, which is like college level.
Yeah.
And then it's like a big treat because you're nearly an adult and you get to not wear a school uniform. But every school that I know has school uniforms.
Everyone?
Here. I mean, pretty much. There'll be exceptions, but pretty much, yeah.
Do you?
That's why, I never knew until recently that this was so common in Britain. Uniforms. I thought, I've seen TV shows, I've seen Harry Potter, I've seen movies. I know school uniforms were a thing. I didn't realize they were always a thing. I suppose you just get used to it, don't you? As a matter of fact, it might be kind of comforting, kind of cozy after a while. I don't know. It's strange. It's strange to me, at least, as an American. But it just must be, you don't even think about it after a while, I guess.
Do you have casual Fridays?
Mufti day.
Whoa, that's I don't like the word muff in that sentence. Hello, children. I'm your teacher. It's Mufti Day.
Oh, God, you're ruining my childhood.
See, every day was casual Friday for us. I personally think
Yeah.
it's good to not have a school uniform, only because you get to express yourself a bit more and not feel like you're just one brick in the wall, as they say.
I'm somebody who thinks that, as boring and nerdy as it is, I quite like school uniform. I've had 3 different school uniforms in my life. How many have you had?
Well, none. I've never had a school uniform, so it's just... Wait, so you've had 3, as in 3...
Would it just be utter chaos in Britain if they abolished this in some fantasy world where everyone could just wear what they wanted? Would it just unleash utter chaos? Or imagine everyone just shows up in their school uniform anyway because they're all used to it. It's like nothing even changed.
different
Yeah,
styles?
I went to 3 schools.
Oh.
So my primary school...
You had to change uniform every time.
I was in a different school, Evan, yes.
I don't. Isn't it just wear a blazer and a shirt?
No, so my first one, I had with like a shirt and then like a red jumper.
Okay.
And the second one, I had like a full suit.
Jumper. Red jumper. What is that? Jumper. I feel like this is not exclusively a British term. I feel like I'm just uncivilized and don't know. Whoa! It's not. It's like a sweater? A very nice sweater. I'm gonna go with that. Okay.
Suit blazer thing. And at the third one, we had like a polo neck. Which is
Oh,
like a little
okay.
bit more relaxed.
How many did you have of each uniform?
I probably had like 5 shirts and
Okay.
like 2 blazers in the If I
But
take
you had
that
to,
one as
you
an
had to wash them quite often, right? Because you only wear the same thing.
yeah. But like, yeah, you wash them at the weekend. You have 5 shirts,
Do you
one
feel
for
like
each
that's
day.
it? Well, then you're. What about poor families? Families that cannot
Okay.
necessarily afford them.
So this is the thing: is I was doing a bunch of research when we said we were going to do this. On average, school uniforms generally end up cheaper than having more extra clothes because you need to go to school.
Well, no, the kids
Oh.
are gonna have clothes.
Whoa, okay. I see the argument he's making here, because as an American, you do end up with like 5,000 t-shirts by, by the end of it, because you know you can wear them whenever you want, even at school. So you just keep getting stuff. But if it were a designated uniform, you just have your 5 shirts that you rotate through and your blazer. It's kind of comforting in a way. I can see it.
Anyway. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's no extra cost of buying clothes.
That's
'cause
true, but
I
if
wore
you're wearing them
crap.
7 days a week rather than 2 days a week, then you need more clothes. That's just simple math. You're a maths major.
You
must
already
know.
own clothes, is what I'm saying. You don't need to buy different clothes for school unless you want to get bullied.
So I get it. Like, the general like counter argument to school uniform is you have to buy these expensive school uniforms, right?
Yeah.
At my schools, we were allowed to just wear any random like shirt from like Tesco or Asda or whatever. You could get the official one, and this is where it becomes expensive.
money thing.
Is where you have to get like a blazer emblazoned with the school crest.
Were there like little non?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that is what makes it really official, isn't it? All the stuff having the crest on it. Yeah, that does. I have a picture of that in my mind a little bit. I never really thought of it as a money thing, like it was a big barrier to entry because the uniforms were so expensive. Because like you said, once you have it, you have it. And then, well, honestly, do you need to get a new set every year? If you're growing, certainly. Huh. So many questions.
Performance things you could do.
Yeah, like having your tie down like that. Ooh, watch out!
Little rub
That links on the street. That was the main one, yeah. Or like doing your tie in a weird way, but I was never cool enough to be taught that. So
Interesting. We had to wear uniforms for gym. Our uniform was just the colors of our school and wear shorts.
that's really weird that you had a uniform for just gym.
No, as in you had to wear orange and blue for the school I went to, which was colors orange and blue.
He means for gym that everyone had to have like the same pair of shorts and the same color t-shirt. I don't know if that's actually that weird, but yeah, you could call that a uniform. It's just kind of our gym outfit, but it is true. Closest thing Americans have to a uniform, I guess.
The most disgusting uniform I've ever heard of.
First of all,
You
those are
look
my
like-
favorite colors.
You look like a can of beans.
Do you wear your school uniforms for gym?
Yes, we wore a blazer for gym, Evan. Sure. No, we didn't have a uniform for gym. We just had like
Okay.
general gym
Sure.
stuff.
I mean,
Yeah.
I know in the U.S. there are schools that do uniforms, but most of the time they're Catholic schools, so
Yeah.
like they have a very strict, rigid, like
Right.
ruling system, and so uniforms are part of that. They have to wear the blazers and things. But I
Yeah.
never went to one of those.
For me, like the main argument against it is like while you say that like it's expensive to get uniforms, the main thing for me against it is it encourages like very much a hierarchy if you don't have a uniform because rich kids have nicer, fancier clothes and have lots of accessories, and people without as much money look like a peasant.
Look like a peasant. What a word to use. Hey, he's not wrong in a sense. This is an interesting argument. I like that he's arguing in favor of the uniforms, by the way. That is pretty funny. And don't get me wrong, funny might not be the right word. There's legitimate reasoning behind the uniforms. As far as a social hierarchy being formed by being able to wear expensive or cheap clothing, I suppose that's somewhat true. Maybe I personally just never paid attention to that stuff because I didn't care about fancy clothing. Even if I had access to it, it didn't really matter that much to me. Plus, it seemed like there was already a social hierarchy based on who was cool or who was a nerd or a jock. Or, in school, there's always going to be a social hierarchy no matter what. And maybe the clothing will amplify that or kind of create a different type of hierarchy based on wealth. It's an interesting idea. Could be some truth to it.
Right? Because they're not able to dress in these fancy clothes that people buy for school. And that, like, I feel like having a uniform, to a certain extent, if it's just very basic, not like silly ones with like a weird hat and like a specific crest emblazoned on your blazer, but like if you've got like just a very basic uniform, which is shirt from Asda, trousers from Asda or Tesco, whatever, then it gives you like a level playing field. It makes you get bullied less for your clothing choice.
Okay.
In my opinion,
Yeah.
if you're in school, you're gonna get bullied for anything. Kids will find something to bully
That is
about.
my experience
It's like
at school.
that episode of Fairly Odd Parents when he makes
Yeah, this is what I tend to agree with, is the cruel hierarchy of school finds a way based on other factors besides your clothing. But honestly, the most apparent argument to me in favor of uniforms would just be, what's the best way to say it? Kind of making sure everybody is like taking care of themselves to a certain standard, because I find these uniforms to be quite nice, in all honesty. Everyone's dressed very nice. It looks like you have to kind of take some care to make sure your tie is at least straight and your clothing isn't wrinkled. So everyone kind of learns to learn proper self-care and clothing management, if that makes sense, which is a skill, that you need to develop as forming into an adult. So I actually see that kind of purpose being helpful for school uniforms, if anything.
everyone the same gray blob. And people are like, well, I'm the blobbiest blob of all the blobs. Like, people will find a way to bully other people no matter what happens. That's bad. I hate it, but
That's
you take that variable away, people will be like, look at your nose.
okay. That's probably true, but I still feel like it kind of
It does help a bit, you're saying.
Yeah, well, it encourages classism in a place where you're meant to feel to a certain extent on a level playing field and safe.
I loved being able to wear shirts for bands or video games that I liked, though, and I could meet other people in school that had common interests where I was wearing it on my shirt. Like, I like Metroid Prime, and other people would be like, oh, I like that game, and then I can make friends that.
Yeah, this kind of comes full circle, fully meta, because you can wear a shirt that's so like crappy looking, but in certain years that was cool to have the cheap thrift store shirt was kind of cool. So sometimes the price of the clothing doesn't even matter, but that's really getting into the weeds a bit.
That's very true. And actually, one piece of advice I give people who are really awkward and are going to like college or uni is like wear a band or a YouTube shirt that you of someone you love, because
Buy my
someone will
merch,
spot
basically.
it. Basically, just buy all my merch. No, but someone will spot it and go, like, oh, we have the same thing.
Yeah,
It's a
that's
little
why I
in
like
thing.
that in school. I think that's a positive. You honestly feel like wearing school uniforms prepares people for the workforce? Because I have never worn a uniform in any job I've ever had. It's always been smart casual, which is just wear a shirt and don't
Interesting.
look like a schmuck.
I definitely think that it's a good separation between work mode and fun mode.
School is not for fun.
Well, no,
America's
you know
school's
what I
fun.
mean. Like you're there to sort of.
Yeah, this is kind of what I was thinking, touching on. This is kind of the purpose I saw in uniforms, kind of a practical purpose, getting used to having a uniform, but he's right as well. The American here is right. A lot of jobs outside of the service industry don't require a strict uniform. It's like business casual. So I don't know.
Work and learn things.
Sure.
And so it's a good separation of like, now is the weekend. I'm in these comfy little things I wear.
That's true, psychologically,
And then,
yeah.
psychologically, because that's so important. In the same way that we work at home and sometimes it's harder because we don't have a workplace and we're in the room that we also sleep in.
Don't you feel like
So the school uniform, when you slap that thing on in the morning, really gets the school mode turned on, gets that school juices flowing, possibly.
British kids are under stress enough in school? They don't need to wear a uniform and be more stressed like, I'm in work mode.
Don't you feel that British kids are under stress enough in school and don't need the stress of, what am I going to wear every
Not that
single day?
stressful. What am I gonna wear? Just throw
I
a
need
shirt
to be
on.
fashionable all the time. Maybe you don't
I
have
literally
There, that's like a good perspective that he's giving. When you wear a uniform every day, it probably does seem like, oh, well, how do you pick some kind of outfit every single day? Well, the truth is, at least as a guy like myself who doesn't care too much, you kind of just slap it together and it is what it is. But yeah, I suppose for some people in the United States, it is kind of more trouble than it's worth. Well, even still, they would say they almost enjoy. They enjoy coming up with an outfit for the day and all that.
Threw anything on. I
Okay.
throw a shirt, throw pants, I made it, done.
Okay, well, that's why you're the way you are.
Now, even though I did say that we didn't have a uniform in my school, every school I know in the US does have a dress code.
Right.
Yeah.
Mostly, as wrong as this is, IMO, it affects women, such as no
Most
bare
definitely, yeah.
midriff, no spaghetti straps, none of the, like, I remember at one point the rule was fingertip length shorts. So if your shorts were shorter,
Your shorts are this long. Oh, wait, this long.
as in if your arms are by your side, if your
Okay.
shorts are shorter than the tips of your fingers, you
Right.
have to go to the nurse's office where they will make you remove your shorts and they will give you an ugly pair of shorts that fit what they want you to wear.
So basically,
Yeah, this totally a thing. Dress code in the United States. It's pretty similar between schools, and they just don't want that the school basically gets to decide their interpretation of how sexual a woman can dress at school, if that makes sense. They can decide the shirt length, they can decide the dress length, and actually what he said is very familiar to me. Putting your arms down by your side, and your dress or skirt needs to go at least as long as the tips of your fingers when by your side. So that's definitely how it works.
like if you have really tiny arms, then
Yeah.
you get to wear a shorter
Well,
skirt.
yeah, literally. But there'd be
Really?
issues where the teacher would be like, it doesn't count, even though they're shorter.
See, that's one of the things as well, is
It's
when you have a
subjective.
uniform, one of the arguments pro-uniform is it's more enforceable. Because if you have
Yeah,
this
you're
sort of
right,
weird
yeah.
dress code, it's kind of like, it's not quite a
It
rule,
shouldn't
it's like
really
a,
be
it's down
enforced.
to...
You should be able to have earrings or bracelets. You should be able to express yourself, in my opinion.
I'm very...
Yeah. He just reminded me this, at least when I was in school, the rules, the dress code would extend further into things like what kind of jewelry you can wear. You can't wear a hat. You can't dye your hair. Distracting colors, as they would say. All sorts of stuff like that.
aware that I'm arguing the boring point. I'm
Yes,
very, very
and you are
aware of
wearing a
that.
suit.
Like you asked me to wear
Well,
this.
look how cool he looks with his little tie.
Thanks, man. I realize I've become like semi-naked in school terms during this video. But in terms of going and doing jobs and things, you do have to have a certain level of like presentability. Does that make sense? I know that sounds really like
Yeah, but you don't. It's not like, for instance, I never wore a uniform, and it's not like as soon as I graduated, I went, I don't know how to present myself. You know.
no, but you're not used to it. I guess I don't know. Maybe I. This is the thing. I can't argue your way because
Well,
You know what I'll say for his point is he's kind of saying, well, it was helpful wearing the uniforms because we were kind of preparing to be comfortable in formal clothing. And that is a point, but the interesting that happens with kids in the United States is when they do come around to those moments where they need to wear really formal, proper attire, it feels like a special, exciting event. Like, ooh, I'm putting on a blazer, a jacket, and a tie. Wow, this is really special and interesting and exciting. That's the sensation you get when you basically, growing up, never have worn a uniform. So it's kind of funny how that is.
I've not lived your life in that
To
way.
be
I've
honest-
always had a uniform.
I had some issues when I did graduate where I had no freaking clue how to tie a tie, number
Yeah.
one. I still have issues, to be
Really?
honest. I still
Yeah.
have to look
So
at the
easy.
Yes, 100%. Boys and men in America really struggle to tie ties, and they are probably the most responsible for searching how to tie a tie on YouTube. I've definitely never done that ever in my life. Definitely. Never.
video up every time. Two, I did not have any clue what to wear to a uniform. I know I was supposed to dress like smart, and I remember I went to an interview and I had like what I thought was nice clothing, and it was just like stuff that like a button-up shirt, and they were
Right.
like, "I'm sorry, the interview said you were supposed to dress smart," and I went, "Yeah, I've got khakis." They went, "We wanted slacks." I literally got turned away from a job interview because I didn't wear slacks. Didn't even know what that was.
You've literally just argued against your own point there.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
that was the
yeah,
only
yeah.
issue that I had, was that I wasn't actually prepared. But then maybe that's because
Okay.
I'm dumb.
What do you think about the idea of like school spirit?
Oh man, America, we love our school spirit. That's another video I'll have to do on
And
pep
so like
rallies.
that's kind of like I also know that being in a uniform reduces individuality and makes you feel like you're this.
Are you really proud of your little
another-
crest?
I wasn't ever proud of it, but I was.
So is that kind of a good point? School spirit, wearing your school's uniform, but it's mandatory. So is it really that spirited if you're being forced to wear the uniform? Whereas in the United States, I feel like any school I went to, almost 100% of the time, had outrageous school spirit. And when the students had an event or something come up, they would willingly put on the school colors and make it a big thing and wear silly outfits with the colors and all that stuff. So I could see this almost arguing against the uniform for school spirit in a way.
Wasn't ever like not proud of my school. I was just like not that bothered really. Having a uniform means that if someone is like a school intruder, it's easy to spot the school intruder.
But if one of you is a miscreant, the teacher will have no clue which one of you did it because you're all wearing the same thing.
Sure.
Come on, I figured someone just stole something. Who is it?
What
Who
was
was it? I don't know.
What was he wearing? A school uniform.
I've never got told off for the dress code, but then again, I'm blessed with a male genitalia. You know, it's not blessed with. I was trying to say it eloquently. All right, I haven't had sleep in 36 hours. But yeah, essentially,
Thank you, Lord, for my
Thank you,
penis.
the day you were happy to wear a school uniform every day, it didn't make you sad at all.
No, but to his point, he is correct that the whole dress code thing in America definitely affects women like way, 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 way more. I was never, in my entire life, I don't think ever that I can remember anyone saying something about what I was wearing to school. I wore whatever, anything to school.
Definitely.
regret it?
I mean, like, I hated it at the time.
Okay, but you did hate it at the time,
Very
though.
much hated it at the time.
But in retrospect, now.
But in retrospect, yeah, I definitely feel like it would have added to my stresses and added to things I got bullied for if I was wearing. I mean, some of my clothes were really awful.
I looked horrible every day, and
Yeah.
I didn't have a uniform.
I didn't go to Top Man until I was. Top Man was the first
Oh.
like fancy shop I went into, fancy, and that was when I was 16. So I just wore what my mum bought me.
Same. We're the same type of person.
Yeah, yeah.
My mom would buy me a shirt, be like, "Thanks, mom. Where'd you get it? I don't know, Target. Cool, thanks."
Yeah.
I didn't care. I didn't think about that type
I
of thing.
think that's really nice though because it means that you don't develop this obsession over fashion
Yeah.
until you're sort of old enough to make those decisions for yourself. I'm not saying that people who have
Yeah.
30
Yeah, I mean, it just so happened in my experience, at least the people I was around, people were not that obsessed with fashion, to be honest. I could see that happening, I guess, in some kind of American school I've never imagined or been to. I could see that kind of thing happening, but in my experience, obsession about the price of the clothing and the design or fashion just didn't really end up being much of a thing.
You shouldn't be thinking about that as a
you
kid
shouldn't,
necessarily.
yeah. It's nice that
It's too much stress.
you only like for me it was really nice that I have uniform at school and then at the weekends I can wear whatever crappy thing my mum's bought
You only
me,
need 2 shirts.
and I'm only seeing people I trust and like in my normal life.
Once I hit puberty around 16, 17, I was like, I should slightly care about what I'm wearing.
Yeah, and that's once you get to that age, then great, cool. But it is. I think it's nice. I don't think that people who are younger than that shouldn't think about it. But all I mean is, I don't think it should be encouraged. And in like a school system where you're seeing these same people every day and they're teasing you for the things you're wearing, you start to become conscious of that, and that's kind of sad that you, at the age of like 11.
Yeah, I don't know. If they're, certainly if you're in a situation where your family does not have a lot of money and you can't afford nice clothing, that's horrible if you're getting teased. But if you're showing up to school and by your own choice, you're dressed like a slob, you haven't washed your clothing even though it's your responsibility to do it and you have access to a washing machine, but you don't do it and you smell and your stuff is dirty and you choose the ugliest things imaginable, maybe it's okay to receive a little bit of criticism from your classmates. Hopefully that doesn't involve bullying or anything. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't, I don't know. But I I think it's okay at that point if you receive a little feedback and it's just part of the organic development of being a human being. Going out into public, accidentally wearing something kind of stupid that maybe you shouldn't, and then getting called out for it, and then you learn and you go home and you actually take care of yourself and clean your shirt and try to like dress a little nice and have more confidence, hopefully. But I'm sure this scenario has happened, and kids have suffered and not gotten the correct message out of it, and maybe bullying was involved, and in those situations that's sad and horrible. But there's also a part of this where it's like it teaches a little bit of personal accountability when you have to dress yourself. Part of growing up is learning how to dress yourself, and if you dress yourself horribly, that's a skill you have to learn. Whereas in Britain, it's almost like a cheat code where they kind of teach you how to dress really nicely. The uniforms are beautiful and nice and very elegant. And so that's actually kind of nice that they teach you the proper way to dress nicely. Honestly, in American school, we should teach that. That should be a class or something. Like personal care and clothing and like how to do that kind of stuff. I don't know. Maybe I'm talking nonsense here, but just my thoughts.
Are going, oh, I'm not fashionable enough.
I, for one, really appreciated the fact that I got to wear whatever I want. I think if I had kids, I'd like them to also not have a dress code necessarily. Not a dress code, not a uniform. I think they should have a dress code to an extent, but I like it when you get to express yourself. And I think I finished belaboring all my points.
I think that's really nice. And I have no other experience of what you have.
So what do you guys think? Are you pro uniform or no uniform? Please tell me below.
Yeah, all this tells me is, depending on where you were raised, America or Britain or wherever, you're going to get used to what you grow up doing. And there are good reasons for either side, honestly.
Especially if you went to a school with uniform and you hated it or loved it, or if you didn't and you wish you had a uniform, I'd love to hear your thoughts. And also be sure to give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed.
Okay. There we have it. That was by Evan Edinger. I did like that. I will give it a thumbs up. I enjoyed this. What did the people say? What are the comments saying about this? Remember having non-uniform day and getting anxiety that it was just the whole school playing a trick on you, and it was actually just normal uniform. So when you finally got a day to not wear your uniform and to wear a normal outfit, it was almost like stressful. That's funny. In Finland, we don't have uniforms, but I never really care about being judged. Judging someone for the clothing they wear is the shallowest thing I can imagine. True, but unfortunately, people definitely do it. Definitely judge you for what you're wearing. Every year seven's mom, you'll grow into it. Is that like when you get a uniform that's too big for you, but you still have to wear it? Okay. Yeah, this is fascinating stuff. This is one of the hugest differences, I think, in the educational systems that I was just not really aware of or never thought about. And it's pretty significant, but also not at the same time. It's kind of funny. It's one of those funny things. It's about personal self-expression in America, and in Britain, it's about caring about everyone getting on together, getting along, and following the rules, and having a sense of like pride in your uniform and representing that. So I understand both, to be quite honest. I don't know. I don't know which is technically better. They're just different. Not really one better than the other per se. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, if you enjoyed this reaction, feel free to give this video a like or leave a comment. And if you're interested in more videos like this, me reacting to Britain, the UK, the culture there, things there that I've never seen before, feel free to subscribe for more. And until then, thanks for watching, and see you next time.